Welcome to the Angler Talk Podcast with Chris and Aaron. Brought to you by FishingMagicianTV.com.
What is up, everybody? It's Chris back again with another weekly episode of Angler Talk. And wow, this past week the fishing has been red hot for me, man. Last week I partook in the Highmar Fall Striper Tournament, the 40-hour Bob Kaminsky Memorial. And let me tell you something, man. We had an absolute blast. We gave it everything we had. And, we didn't win, but, me and my team out there on the Muscles Magoo with Captain Harry Brown did a phenomenal job. Us as a team finding the fish and getting these fish in the boat. I mean, we had a lot of fun, and all of our fish was caught on none other than Tony Maja products. This man makes quality products that are built to catch quality fish, guys. The striped bass run right now is off the charts. There's fish everywhere, from the Raritan Bay all the way down past LBI, making their way towards the Atlantic City area. Get out there, guys. Go eel. Go throw some shad. Some flutter spoons have been working phenomenal. If you got a boat, there's no question what to use, guys. Bunker spoons. The fish are out there. So this week, I do have a longtime friend of the show and longtime friend of mine, Captain Gregory Fabrizzi. And we're going to take a little trip down memory lane with Greg and talk about his days back in Jersey and what it's like to fish the Florida Keys. I hope you guys enjoy. And here I am with Captain Greg Fabrizzi. How we going, brother?
Well, good, Chris. How you been, man?
Pretty good. I can't complain, man. Just going day by day and still trying to catch these fish. The striper bite has been really, really hot up here.
I didn't want to talk about it, man. I watch it every single day, those fish that you boys are catching. Insane, dude. Unbelievable.
Well, for a lot of the viewers and listeners who's been listening to this podcast and this YouTube channel for a while, I mean, you have been a long-time friend of the channel. You always give us reports from the Keys. But for the people who don't know, this is Captain Greg Fabrizzi, and he is an original Jersey boy who is now living in the Florida Keys doing charters. And what a sightseeing change it is to go from New Jersey fishery to the Florida Keys, which is like the mecca of fishing in like the world. How was that transition for you, and how much do you like it?
Well, I'll tell you, in the beginning, like most captains that are down here, I can't say most, but a lot of the captains down here used to vacation here, come down here with their family, their friends, run on charters, take charters. 3 out of 5 days they were here, they would go fish. And, you're just in awe of the variety of fish, how close the fishing is. When it comes to sailfish, they could be, in 25 feet of water. The reef is only 6-7 miles away. It's the third largest reef in the world. It's just constant action. So by vacationing here and hiring the pros, you really think that it is the Mecca, and it is a joke, and it's so easy. So of fishing year round for 365, 7 days a week certainly is what drew me here. Yeah. And obviously the memories that I held, in all the charters that I did prior to moving here was a big part of my decision. Yeah. Well, when I got here, you want to talk about a slap in the face, because those charters I took were with professionals. Yeah. So to compare the New Jersey fishing versus the Florida Keys fishing, which the Keys consider themselves, we're the light tackle capital, fishing in the world. So Florida Keys, is known for light tackle, good fish, big fish. And I've learned over the years now, every day we learn, no matter where we are, and no matter if we grew up and we still fish in the same place, but every day you're learning something new. And the biggest aspect of down here, versus I'd say New Jersey, that I would say stands out the most is water clarity. Yeah. There's days when, on the best day, I've seen the bottom in 85 feet of water on anchor or on drift. So if I could see down at the bottom at 49 years old at 85 feet, what do you think these fish can see? So
Absolutely.
I've caught 40 to 60 pound AJs on 12 to 20 pound test. That's what you have to use. You may go up to 25, but that's it. That's where it cuts off. So the difference of New Jersey fishing versus the Florida Keys fishing is New Jersey fishing is all about location when it comes to finding the bait, finding the fish, knowing everybody has their spots, but of course the fish move, but most of it is about location. I used to say when I used to run out of New Jersey, sometimes you're better off knowing where not to go than where to go. So if
Yeah,
you
I
got
agree with
friends,
that.
if you got friends out there that fished yesterday, and they're like, nah, this was dead, that was dead. Now I know, all right, where to go. Whereas the difference here is it's all about the technical fishing. It's what pound test. We don't have a big tide here. We have a foot to a foot and a half. So we don't fish tides. We will run into wind against, but we fish currents. So I could go out today and I got a current coming from the west. And here, the saying is when the currents coming from the west, stay home and rest. That's our worst current.
Gotcha.
But we're doing this for a living, right? So if I got a west current, I got to know how to fish that current. And I got to know, what pound test, and I have to know what, size jigs I'm using. Then when it comes to the wreck fishing, it's a whole nother ball game. And then when it comes to the sailfish, it's a whole nother ball game. So to answer your question, which I should have done 10 minutes ago, is the difference here. What stands out to me is in New Jersey, it was a lot more about location and where you are. And here it's a lot more about presentation, if that makes any sense.
No, it absolutely does, man. I mean, because in Jersey, like you said about water clarity, it plays a very, very big factor. When we're going out for these fluke and for these striped bass and stuff like that, the water being a bit greener because of the vegetation and because some of the dirtiness of the water, we
Well, there's a
have
lot of
somewhat.
runoff. Yeah.
Yeah, we have somewhat of a camouflage. So when we're throwing these shads on heavier pound tests, like, some guys use 40, 50, 60 pound tests. Me personally, I don't fish heavier than 20 pound tests for anything. And you know what I'm saying? So when we're throwing these shads at, 40 feet of water, 20 feet of water, and we got this big heavy line, they can't really see it because of the water clarity. But when you're down there in the Florida Keys, like I've been with you, fishing for these yellowtails and these muttons and stuff. Like, these fish can see very, very well, and that plays a major difference in the style of fishing for sure.
For sure. I mean, right now we're going through the transition, but right now on any of my boats, we use all fluorocarbon. We'll use
Yeah,
braid, and then we'll use braid to a straight fluoro top shot. But on all the boats that we run right now, the heaviest I have is 30 pound.
yeah,
That's it. I'm gonna go up to 40 now when the winter time rolls around, and then I may use sometimes 80 on the king mackerel when the kingfish when they come in.
yeah,
They call them the smokers. So we'll fish the wrecks. We'll put a kingfish rod out, and that could be on 80 to 100 pound. But down here, they do use they sell a lot of wire, and up on different areas of Florida, wire works. The small hay wire twist and to hooks
yeah.
and stuff like
Number
that.
number four, I remember.
Yeah, exactly. But then, in the Keys here, I'll tell you what, man, you could throw out 5 baits. You can get railed on 5 baits. You'll land 2 of the 5, because you get bit off. But once
Yeah,
you go to that wire, they won't touch it. And I'm talking bull sharks, hammerheads, tigers, king mackerel, whatever you're targeting. The only thing that down here consistently is not afraid of wire is barracudas. But
yeah.
other than that, nothing will go near it.
I hear
So
you,
again,
man.
it's presentation.
And I'm a big superstitious guy, and I have a belief that when that wire hits that water, with the current going against it, I believe that wire creates some type of vibration which throws the fish off a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They also now, which I discovered a couple of years ago, they sell nylon coated wire, so
Yeah.
it has a nylon coat on it, which I seem to do better on that. But at the end of the day, even when the commercial fishermen down here, which king mackerel is coming up, I think it opens up in March. It could be May, but um, those guys, if they're not netting them, they're rod and reel on those fish. They'll use 100-pound test on big 7.0, 8.0 mahi hooks just so they don't get chafed and bit off.
Yeah, I hear you.
You're not going to find a commercial rod and reel guy here with a piece of wire because they're not going to catch the fish. So
Absolutely.
again, it's all about that presentation,
Yes.
and that's what I learned was the biggest difference.
So we jumped right into the Florida Keys fishing and stuff like that. But for the people who don't know you very much, let's backtrack a little bit. How did you, get into fishing? I know you weren't always a charter boat captain for your whole entire adult life. So what made you say, you know what, I'm gonna take this leap and just go do what I love? What changed for you?
It was a lifestyle change. I mean, I started fishing like most of us did. Either our father or a grandfather introduced us into the game, and you either get the bug or you don't, right? And my
Absolutely.
grandfather got me into it when I was 6 7 years old. I remember dragging his aluminum boat off the beach in Queens, going out at night, eeling up stripers, way back in the day. And as time went along, when I turned 16, I got my own 16-foot Grumman, with a
Yeah.
little probably a 9.9 Evan Root on the back or whatever it was. Used to launch out of Keyport, and I thought a 10-plus-pound bluefish was the biggest prize in the world. We get pulled all around the Raritan Bay, me and my buddy fighting those bluefish. So the fishing aspect, started when I was real young. Obviously, I went into corporate life and spent a lot of time behind the desk.
Yeah.
After about probably about 15 years, started, doing well in terms of financially. Was fortunate enough to be able to buy boats that, could run charters. Had guys work for me. Did it on the weekends when I was off. And eventually it just evolved where, that suit and tie, it wasn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
I really reached a point where I don't think I could do it anymore, to be frank. Mentally, physically, it was tearing me up. So I went full time in New Jersey. Hurricane Irma came through the Florida Keys, which was about 5 to 6 years ago. It obviously decimated it. In the area that I'm in, I had a lot of friends here, came down, gave them some assistance, helped them out however I could, which wasn't really much, but I did what I could to help them out. And then I said, you know what? This is where my heart is. When it comes to the fishing, I saw an opportunity to grow a business. And, now I came down with the Steiger, and now we're up to, 5 boats in the course of the last 4 years. So what brought me here, basically was ripping that tie off and saying, you know, I'm not going to make it much longer doing what I'm doing physically
Yeah.
and mentally. So where can I go and work all year long and actually make a living, to provide for my family, myself, and my parents, and, basically just create a business that's all year round. And that's how it happened, really. And, like I said, we just got missed a hurricane that, did a lot of damage up to Fort Myers and Cape Coral, that whole
Yes.
area. But that was only the eye of that Ian was only 140 miles off the Keys,
Yeah.
in the Gulf. So we felt some ramifications from it. And I was looking after 7 boats that I kept them all in the water. I
Wow.
kind of rolled the dice on it. So it was literally setting my alarm every 3 to 4 hours for 2 days to get up and go out in 70 plus, gusting up to 80, 85, driving down the road, getting out of my vehicle and and walking to the docks with flashlights, making sure, these boats are still tied and no other boats became untied. And inevitably you have to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
when it starts blowing like that. So God bless the people that and the families that it affected there that lost everything. They're still, I have a lot of friends up there. They're still they're still without power and without shelter and stuff. But like I said, we got lucky on this one here. So it did kind of speed up our fishing, though. It sped up the change of season.
Yeah.
So we got our cold front, our first cold front the other day, which you'll laugh at, but it got just
what was
below
it?
70 degrees,
Yeah.
and we had our hoodies and jeans on, for 2 days. But
That's funny.
we're seeing and catching sailfish, which this time of year, at the end of October, November, it's not unheard of, but it's not as common, to see them. But we're starting to see sailfish already. Generally, that's a January, February, type of, is when it really opens up wide. But we're seeing them now already, and I'm pretty sure that hurricane had a lot to do with it.
Just like the beautiful one sitting behind you, mounted on the wall.
Yeah, that was my first one that I ever caught down here. If
Yeah,
I could do it all again, I'd have 6 of them up there, But now, there's days we go out and we go 4 for 8,
Yeah, I hear you. But you did bring up Hurricane Ian, and I remember watching, the storm on the phone, just tracking it. Is it going to hit the Keys? Is it going to hit the Keys? And I got some friends down there. I got you down there. I got Jay down there. I got Jaden down there. And I'm just sitting there like really, really worried. Like, man, what is this thing going to do to the Keys? And luckily, it didn't hit you guys head on. Obviously you guys are going to get some blow and some rain, but for what happened to the people at Fort Myers, man, just to see the devastation, and it's uninhabitable. You cannot know, like, everybody lost everything. That's how
Yep.
bad it was. And if anybody can, muster up something to donate and help people, or even go down there and just give a hand, it'd be an amazing thing. And I really hope those people the best, and
Yeah,
may
for
God
sure.
bless them.
I agree. And the news changes quick. So the hot topic today, or last week, was all about them. Those people are going to be rebuilding for years. Friends of
Yeah,
mine up there are still, bringing people coolers to keep medicine cool in.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, because once it's out of the news, it's out of your mind. So
exactly.
you're absolutely right. So if you get, $5, $20, 50, whatever it is, or even, just give some supporting words to those people, it certainly
Yeah.
can't hurt, because they're far from out of the woods on that.
I mean, I've heard stories of people who are just looking for a dry pair of socks. That's
Yeah.
how bad it is. And when you hear things like that, as a person, we all have a conscience and we all have feelings, no matter how badass you think you are. And it
Correct.
hits you home, especially in a place where I lived for a while, where you live, and you want to help the people there. So guys, if you can give anything or help in any way, definitely check out the organizations that are down there and try to help as much as you can, man. But to get back on the topic of fishing, what is something that you really miss catching up here in Jersey?
It's a common question that's asked by a lot of people, and I think you know the answer.
I think I
Um,
do.
yeah, I mean, and a lot of guys that are down here, and women that fished up there in Jersey and in New England. If you ask us, it's always the same answer. It's all about the tog. We only miss
Absolutely.
the blackfish. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, at my age, I don't miss the big tunas anymore, because we don't get big tuna here. A big, blackfin here is 20, 25 pounds. That's a monster. Um,
Yeah.
but if I was younger, I'd probably miss the big tunas. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Eric Morrow. He's got the bounty hunter. He's up out of
Oh,
Rhode
yes.
Island. Yeah. So Eric
Absolutely.
has a boat. He has a boat next to the pontoons here that I have at Keys Fisheries. He
Mhm.
put it there last year, but it's a shark cage boat. So he puts people in the water with a shark
Oh, wow.
cage. No fishing.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah. So I watch him every day, just like I watch you guys with these striper posts. And he's togging right now. And Oh man, that's what I miss. Like, I don't even like talking about it. I really don't. The closest thing down here that you could get to a tog is a grouper. You know, like a big black, but it's different.
Yeah.
Like it's
It's
nothing
it's not that
compare.
close.
Nah, I've caught
Yeah, I
40
mean,
pound black group. Yeah, I've caught 40-pound black grouper here. And again, it's a different hit. It's not a scratch, a push, a poke. You know, it's an inhale, and then that grouper's just going straight into the rock. Where once you turn his head, the blacks will then kind of take off, like, you know, horizontally and just go. You know,
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, that tog, we know what it does. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah, and I'm pretty sure by me saying this, you can back me up. A 10 or 11 pound blackfish will make a 30 to 35 pound grouper look silly. Am I
it would
right
make it
on
look
that?
it would make it look sick, like there was something
Yeah,
wrong with the fish. You know, there's
absolutely.
not. Yeah, so that's always the answer whenever you ask anybody from up that, you know, on that part of the Northeast, where do you miss fishing? What do you miss fishing for? It's all, if they fished for blackfish and they fish for tog, it's always the same answer. I find that to be the most addictive fishing ever known to man.
Oh
Maybe the
yeah,
most
it's
frustrating
kind
as
of like
well.
a drug. It's kind of like a drug addiction, you know. It's got a cult following, and it's coming more and more every year. More and more people are blackfishing, and you know, it's starting to be like a widespread drug craze that's starting to hit everybody, and it's just it's one of those fish that it's just so rewarding to catch because it's so not easy to catch. I mean, these are one of the few fish in New Jersey, probably the toughest fish to catch, and the only one that I say that you actually need some type of skill to catch because they're really, really fast. They will rob your bait or they will put you in that structure faster than you can blink.
For
And you know,
sure.
it's an addiction. And I've had, you know, emails from some of the subscribers who watch this from Australia, and they always ask me, what the hell is the tautog? You know what I'm saying? And there's
Sure.
just no way I can explain it. It says except for is the most drug addicting fish you will ever target, you know?
No doubt. Absolutely. You know, the boat, it's all about the captain getting you on that piece. And then
Yeah.
once you're on that piece, it's up to you. And I've been there where I've watched a guy limit out in an hour and a half standing 3 feet away from me. And I don't have one in the box yet. And I've had my
Yeah.
days where I did it to another person too. But, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of it is like, you know, like a Major League Baseball pitcher. Some days you get out there and you're on and you're in the
I
zone.
rem- I remember the first time we actually fished together was on a blackfish trip, and that was hilarious, man. I mean, the captain we were with was kind of like a doo-doo-doo, but you know, he did put us on some meat, and we had a blast. And I remember looking at you and your kids and watching the faces of you guys just pulling these fish up. It was an awesome feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the table fare, the taste.
Hmm.
My gosh,
Yeah, they are
unbelievable.
what they eat. You know, they're
Yeah.
eating on shrimp, they're eating on crabs, they're eating on mussels. I mean, they're gonna taste as good as their diet for sure, man. So now to shift into Florida, what is your favorite species to target and catch over there? And I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one too.
Well, you might, but and you've asked me this before. There's no. I guess there's two answers to that. I try to stick to one, but when in the summertime here, we're known for 110 degrees, no
Oh
wind,
yeah.
flat seas, and football fields of grass that we're
Mm,
out there catching mahi on.
yep.
So to me, when I'm running the boat, now that I have that 36 yellowfin, with the Trip 300s and the tuna tower and the mahi tower, whatever you want to call it,
Beautiful.
um,
Well,
yeah, it's just a game changer when it comes to the offshore fishing.
mm,
But Chris, there's so many fish here that I've caught and I've come encountered with. It's so hard to really narrow it down. But I would say for me, if I'm gonna catch the fish, it's the same answer I always give you, which is the African pompanos or
yes,
the muttons. They live same with the muttons, but we'll fish them in anywhere from 140, all the way to 300
Mm,
feet. And you'll catch a 30-pound AP. We call them APs down here, but you'll catch a 30-pound AP. That's equivalent to probably a 70 to 100-pound yellowfin. The difference is you're pulling it off the bottom in 200. It's taking out another 100 feet of line when it nails you, and it's got 3 bull sharks on its ass. As you're taking it this way, he's trying to go that way, and here's the thing: you're only working with 25-pound tests.
Yeah.
So if your drag is not, and you're most of the time you're on a spinning rod too. So if your drag is not precise, if your unis are not precise, if you're fluoro on that leader, and we're talking 30 to 50 foot leaders here to the weight. If your knots are not perfect, everything on that whole setup is not perfect. Even a nick in that fluoro that you didn't know about, that fish is gone. So another big difference, I would say, from Jersey to here is, as unless it's for most of the time, unless it's on head boats, charter party boats, party boats, I believe, do shorter trips, but most of the charters in New Jersey are 8-hour trips. Well, here, folks are on vacation. Some of them are used to fishing in lakes their whole life. They're not used to fishing in the ocean. Some of them don't want to fish all day because they're on vacation. They don't want to spend a whole day of it. They're not like you and I,
Exactly.
So we offer 3-hour trips, 6-hour trips, 8-hour trips, 10-hour trips. But the majority of your trips are 3 and 4-hour trips.
Yep.
Point being is you have 3 hours to produce either a large fish or a quantity of fish.
Yeah.
And you also are doing it with folks that have never encountered fishing like this in their life. We don't set hooks here. The only thing we set a hook on is a mahi.
Yeah.
Everything is a circle hook.
That was, I think, the most frustrating part for me, is because I'm so used to, and even today, with the new striper regulations, it's inline circles only when you're bait fishing. I am so used to setting a hook that I have lost more fish while in the Keys or up here striper fishing the past year and a half, 2 years maybe, than I ever have in my entire life, just because of this simple motion right here, and it is crazy. But what I love and miss about the Florida Keys so much is that even if you're sitting at a dock, you throw that chum bag out, and it's like an aquarium right behind the boat or right at the dock or wherever you are. And there's just so many different things that you can catch. And that's what is so amazing to me about the Florida Keys is at any given time, with a simple block of chum, you have the opportunity to catch yellows, muttons, mangroves, barracudas. There's just so many things out there. I remember the first.
We 300-pound bull sharks at the dock, 200-pound tarpons when you get back in. You're right. There's everything. There's parrotfish. There's mangrove snapper, yelp. Everything's at that dock. But
we really shouldn't talk about tarpons at the dock, because I know some knucklehead from Jersey that was at a fisheries place, and he said, "I'm not going to waste my charter catching tarpon. I can come over here," and then gets yelled at the owners. There's no fishing. Gives the excuse, "I'm a tourist. I didn't know." Meanwhile, the freaking sign that says "no fishing" is directly in front of me. But hey, I wanted that tarpon so bad, and I got it. And I'll never forget, you the one that tied that leader on. You gave me that 100-pound fluoro. And you said, "This is what you're going to need to pull them up." So that's what I did.
At night, 100 at night will work. During the day, you got to go down on that. But at night, that for sure you'll get away with it. But you're right. It is an aquarium behind the boat. Whether you're fishing on the reef, it's an aquarium. When you're fishing on the or when you get back to the dock, you got leftover chum, and it's aquarium. The offshore game is a little different because it's just. Think about it. We got one road in and one road out. The rest is water on each side. So when you start going on the hunt offshore, that's where, you could be 10 miles out of the game and come back with 8 fish, where the other guy comes back with 60. 10 miles away from each other. So that's the difference in the offshore. But, the inshore fishery, I call it inshore, but, anything inside of that reef, we have the third largest reef, like I said, in the world. It's 120 miles long, and it is packed with so many different variety of fish, and they change. We have different migrations that come through here. It's just the edible, the amount of fish that are edible is unbelievable, and the action is unbelievable. But going back to, like I said earlier, we have 3-hour, 4-hour trips. People see our Instagram, Manic Sport Fishing. They're looking on it before they come out. They're seeing all these fish. They're seeing big fish. They're seeing smaller snappers. They're looking to take, fish home, or they're looking to have it shipped home, or they want to go out to 2-3 dinners and lunches.
Yeah.
But a lot of our catch relies upon, on these folks. Like, we're here, we're right by their side, showing them exactly what to do. But I only have 2 hours, 2.5 hours to do it because of the commuting time and stuff, So that's where
it's a tough thing to do for sure, man. And one thing, like you mentioned about the couple of lunches, it's something that Florida kicks Jersey's butt in big time when it comes to a law. I mean, when you come back to that dock with that fish, you fillet it, and I can take it right over to the restaurant 30 feet away, and they can cook it for you. I mean, that is just the most awesome food I have ever eaten in my life. It just doesn't get fresher than that. It's literally
yeah.
water
I
to
mean,
plate.
I do it myself.
Yeah.
We come back with some fish, and I always ask the customers how much they want, and this way I'm not killing fish that are going to go to waste. And I can only eat so much of it. Of course, when you do it every day, you become a snob. You're not going to eat frozen fish, but
Yeah.
myself, included. I'll come back from a trip. Customer will give me a piece of, my favorite to eat here is mutton snapper.
Yes.
And I also love the blackfin tuna, more of a sashimi style. But customer gives me a piece of that. I'll come home, take a shower, jump back in the car, boom, right to the restaurant, and have them make it up right there for me. And it's inexpensive, but you're right. There's nothing that'll taste like that when
Yeah.
it comes to eating fish, And
I
we're on a
agree,
boat,
man.
we're on boats here every day. There's more boats in the Keys than there are cars. So,
That is true.
every day I'm on a boat. Every day I'm catching some sort of fish. I'm catching some sort of bait. So you're around it so much that you become a snob, and you're like, no, I don't eat that. I don't eat that. I don't eat that, but I'll eat that.
I hear you,
So
man.
yes, I agree with you. Going to the restaurant within 15 minutes of getting back from the dock and having that fish prepared, especially if it was iced down correctly and filleted correct, forget it. It's really hard to top that. It really is.
It is for sure. But to shift it into the business side a little bit, I remember when I was down there, you had the beautiful 31 Steiger craft. You still got that. You had the 2
Yep.
pontoon boats. But earlier in our convo, I heard you say you got 5 boats now. What are the new additions to Manic Sport Fishing?
So we have, yes, still to repeat what you just said, we have the 31 Steiger.
Mm-hmm.
So that boat came down. That was the original boat I brought down here. Boat's, holding up like it should. It's doing, phenomenal. Probably about 3,500 hours on that boat right now on those 2 Yamahas. And then I have I bought the 1 pontoon. Then I added a second pontoon. Now I have 36 yellowfin with the Trip 300s.
Yes.
And then I have another boat, which is called the 28-foot Baja. I'm not sure if you've heard of that boat.
I
That's
have, yes.
that's twin Suzuki 175s.
Eh,
Not a Steiger, believe me, but similar in terms of the look with the Miami with the open background.
Yep.
It's a very light boat. So unless it's a flat day on the ocean, we'll fish that boat, on the bay side, in calmer and shallower waters, and, still catch mutton, still catch mangroves. There's red grouper out there. Now the mackerel is starting to move in, the Spanish mackerel. So those are the 5 boats that, that I control. But if you go on even my website, like I said, with manicsportfishing.com, you'll see those boats, but then you'll also see I'm in the process of adding a catamaran sailboat now. And
wow.
it's not my boat, but it's a sunset cruise. It's a snorkel boat because here we have, as you've seen, the Sombrero Lighthouse, which is a fish sanctuary, and they'll have 50 to 70, balls there with 30, 40, 50 feet of line off of it. And you just pull up to a ball, you tie your boat off to it. There's no charge. And the deepest part of it will be 40 feet and it'll come right up to 5 feet. And that's the aquarium. So that's where you want to do
awesome.
your snorkeling. So that boat will be up there. I'm in partnership with the owner on that, and then Captain Eric's boat, the Shark Cage dive boat that starts running on December 16th. So I kind of control 5 boats, and then there's going to be 2 to 3 other boats that I'm partnering up with other captains on, just because for them to start up their own website, and for them to, get involved with the Google advertising. Because remember, we're in the tourism business here. So, everything's who's Googling where to fish, who to fish with. We're super proud that we have the highest and the most 5-star Google reviews in all of Marathon.
Yeah.
And
well deserved.
Well, thank you. I mean, I field phone calls, and I'm still the guy who answers the phone when the customers call. But it's really an honor that we have people that, say, we want to fish 3 days. We read your reviews. We, checked out your Instagram, and we want to fish with you. So, how many days available do you have this week in December? And if I'm booked up that week, well, we can also come the following week. What do you have that week? So, it really feels great that people will move their vacation around, maybe within a week's time, just to be able to get out with us. That's an honor.
I totally understand that. And, I've been down there, fished with you, I've worked with you, and it's just, you work like a madman. I mean, there's the reason that you have these reviews, and the reason you have the plateau that you have is because your hard work, and it's well deserved. And Manic Sport Fishing is doing some very, very big things. And before we close out, man, I just want to know, what do you see Manic Sport Fishing doing in the next 10 years?
Well, in the next 10 years, you always knock on wood with hurricanes here. Because, an old timer told me that we average one big hurricane every 10 years. So, barring the fact that we're spared from hurricanes, because, Chris, honestly, there's so many boats here, now, that if we had, say, Ian coming at us, there's nowhere to put them. There's nowhere to put them. There's not enough land here to put those boats on land. So, if taking any catastrophic, element out of it in terms of weather related and stuff, I kind of see the business right where it is, if you will, because I always said when I started this company, I'm not looking to make a killing. I'm looking to make a living.
Yep.
So if I can touch your hand and shake your hand and thank you, and if I can field your phone call, if I can field your text, once it gets to the point where I can't do that, now I feel like a franchise, which is not what I want to do. I'm a people person. I love taking kids out. I love taking families out. So as much as I want to grow, at the same time, I want to keep it manageable, because my life up in Jersey when I was wearing that suit and tie became unmanageable. So I need to be able to manage it. I need to make these customers happy. Know that obviously, I truly appreciate their business, and I want to be on a first name basis with the folks. So the only other thing I could see in the next 5 to 10 years is adding other captains that have been vetted through what I believe in and treat people the way that I would want to be treated, and adding those boats. Because as the name grows, as the reviews grow, obviously the phone calls grow. So I need places, that I would fish with Captain XYZ on his boat. If I wouldn't fish with him, then he's not making it on my website. So that's kind of the route I'm looking to go. I'm happy with the boats that I have. I may get rid of one boat and replace it with another, but I think I'm good where I'm at with the boats that I have. But I'm willing to expand and help other guys. And it also helps me, of course, because I take a small piece, whenever they, have a charter that's booked. But comparative to, what I get versus what they get is night and day. So that's what I'm envisioning here. And then, I know you Jersey guys got the deep pockets. So if anybody wants to write a check, you let me know, because that's always an option too,
Oh, man, Greg,
everything's for sale.
You got me wanting to jump into the car right now and take that 25-hour drive straight down to Marathon, brother. I can tell you that, man. But before I let you go, and if anybody gets excited to listen to this and wants to book with you, let them know the website, and I will leave that link in the description down below, along with all your social media.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's www, of course, Manic, not to be confused with Maniac, Manic, MANIC, sportfishing.com. Same handle on Instagram, same handle, on Facebook. And obviously, I think I told you last time, any first responders, any current military, any previous military, they get a 10% off discount on any charter that we offer. And obviously, when it comes to any type of, special needs and stuff, we accommodate everybody. So we're always looking to help people out, and we appreciate the business that we get, but at the end of the day, we're trying to give back as much as we can. It's a tight margin business, but at the end of the day, the more you give, you get back. So we believe in that.
Absolutely, man. I agree. And thank you so much for taking the time to come out and talk to us. And I hope you guys take advantage of the links down below and go visit Greg and check him out. And maybe, hopefully, book a trip. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, Chris. Be well, and best to your family, man.
Well, that was good to sit down with Greg, and it's always a pleasure, and it's always a good time to sit down and talk to him and take that little walk down memory lane of his days back here in Jersey. And the fishery in the Florida Keys is something that, if you haven't experienced, you definitely need to put this somewhere at the top of your bucket list. I mean, the fishing in the Florida Keys is second to none. It is the fishing capital of the world. Florida fishery is just absolutely amazing. I have had the honor and the privilege to be down there for an extensive period of time and just enjoy everything that Florida has to offer. And there is so much species down there to catch. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to catch up here in Jersey, but let me tell you, at any given time of the day, any time of the year, there is so much to catch, and it's always a blast. And I hope you guys take advantage of the information that you're hearing on this show, because I want to put you face to face with some of the best in the business, and Greg is definitely one of those people. He works his butt off day in and day out. I've seen it firsthand. I've been a customer of Greg. I've worked alongside Greg. Greg is one of those guys that will not stop until his customer is 100% satisfied. And I hope you guys go down in the link below and check out the description and see the links to his website and his social media. I guarantee you, if you do get the chance to book with Captain Greg Fabrizzi, you will not be disappointed. From me to you. Well, guys, for this week, I'm out of time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Get out there, bend some rods, and tight lines.